Darryl Kyle struggled there, but recovered from it. And I think what we're seeing out of Mike Hampton is he has recovered from the mental part of it. And physically, what you're seeing is a much more comfortable delivery. I think what you're tempted to do when you get in a ballpark where the ball doesn't move as it does naturally in humidity and in denser air, I think what every pitcher tries to do is manufacture movement, especially if you're used to seeing it come freely. When you can't get it freely, then the arm angle comes down, you twist, you do all kinds of things that aren't natural. Sometimes you never recover, but for Mike Hampton, I think the comfort level is getting back there, and I think we're seeing a more natural movement. Curveball we just showed the folks from Chicago is the best we've seen this year, so he may be all the way back and maybe getting comfortable. Let's check out the lineup that he'll be facing tonight, brought to you by Kia and the all-new Sorento SUV. Kia, make every mile count. Art Howe has made out the lineup card. It looks like this. Jose Reyes, Jeff Duncan, and Jason Phillips, the first three in the batting order. Through the heart of the order for the Mets, Flip Floyd, Ty Wigginton, and Roger Cedeno. Then it's Vance Wilson, Ray Sanchez, and Jae-Woon Salt. Braves defensively have this look. A familiar one in the outfield. Jones, and Sheffield, the trio that will patrol the outfield here at Turner Field. Castillo and Pick have gotten most of the playing. Vinny almost all of it at third. Pick more than half of it at first base. Mark DeRosa again in for Marcus Giles, who by all indications will try to get back out there tomorrow. Then it's for call with Javi Lopez behind the plate and the aforementioned Mike Hampton. Now look at Mike Hampton's numbers. This is his 17th start and a .485 earned run average, and Mike has won his last two ball games, but he's won it despite giving up 9 runs in 14 innings. And you know what I think I'd like for us to start doing? Just eliminate that 5 2/3 and 6 innings per start, because I think in this 6 innings per start is not that big of a deal. And the umpiring crew, Pete, for tonight, we'll have Jim Wolf behind the plate. Yep, that's Randy Wolf's brother. Mike Everett, James Hoy, and Larry Young. Hampton is ready, and so once again is Pete Van Weers.
Okay, Don, here's Jose Reyes batting .240 with a home run and 20 RBIs in his rookie major league season, taking a strike from Mike Hampton, and we are underway on a warm night at Turner Field in Atlanta. A lot of these names may not be as familiar to you as the Mets names that were on this ball club the first half of the year. They have really gone back to basics here. Jeff Duncan waiting on deck. Roberto Alomar gone. Armando Benitez gone. Jeremy Burnett's gone. That's fouled back out of play. The count 1-2. But I love what their interim general manager Jim Duquette said. They tried to pin him down on one of the New York television stations yesterday, talking about a rebuilding project, and you're not supposed to be able to do a rebuilding project in New York. And he said, we're not rebuilding, we're renovating.
Yeah, that works. That's right.
1-2 on Jose Reyes. There's that breaking ball. Strike 3 call outside corner.
Our inside tracks tonight, Pete, we have Don Baylor mic'd, and he tried to prepare his youngsters to face Mike Hampton. Here's what he had to say.
These two guys, you can run at the top of the lineup and those things there, but you got to remember this guy's a good fielder too, okay? So just don't give outs away, you know.
Good advice against any pitcher.
Here's another of the youngsters, Jeff Duncan, who was called up from Double-A ball and has gotten off to a good start. He was hitting .288 at Binghamton. He's 7 out of 17.
But this is only his second at-bat since being called up against a left-handed pitcher.
Only his 9th major league game. Already has a home run. And the 1-0 to Duncan, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. On the Mets rookie center fielder, Jason Phillips waiting on deck, another rookie.
I think what we've seen out of Mike Hampton the last few ball games, and continuing on that theme of getting back comfortable, 2 fastballs that he's comfortable trying now from the same slot, a cutter and a sinker.
That missed high, and the count 2-1 on Jeff Duncan.
And Pete, when you take that one step further, when you get back to your natural delivery, what you also find is not only do you get the movement back, but I think a freely thrown ball has more velocity, and Hampton has been up in the 90s. We haven't seen that early.
And caught the inside corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes now on Jeff Duncan. You look at this Mets lineup, they're really going to have to work at manufacturing runs the rest of the year. With Jeremy Burnett's now gone, Mike Piazza's still unavailable. Mo Vaughn's been gone for most of the year. The only power guy at all in the lineup anymore is Cliff Floyd. They only have 40 home runs combined in their entire starting lineup tonight. 2 gone in the top of the first, and that'll bring up Jason Phillips.
And I think if you should know that if you're the opposing pitcher. You should know that there are very few guys in this lineup that are going to beat you with a long ball. If you get to a situation where a long ball will beat you, take Cliff Floyd out of the equation.
Yeah, you can pitch
it's going
around
to take
him.
a handful of singles to beat you.
Good batting average for Jason Phillips. But the power numbers, 5 homers, 22 RBIs. He's moved up to the number 3 spot the last 3 or 4 games. You may see that RBI total jump a little because of that. 1 ball, no strikes on Jason Phillips. Elvis Costello in a baseball uniform.
He said he caught a ton of that particular name when he was at Yankee
sure he
Stadium.
did.
He said, I just smiled, waved.
2-0 the count on Jason Phillips. 2 men gone, top half of the first inning in game 2 of this 4-game series in Atlanta. The Braves 8.5 up on the Phillies. Florida has now caught Montreal. They're both 13.5 back, and then the Mets 22 out. Ball 3 to Jason Phillips. This is the inconsistency of Mike Hampton. It's still, the control still gets away from him every now and then.
And when it happens, it's because it's not the same delivery that he used to make the good pitches to Reyes and to Duncan.
Here's the 3-0 now to Phillips, and there's a strike. Good fastball inside corner, 3-1.
Watch his backside, the left leg. When he throws free and easy, that left leg is going to come across. And I think when he maxes out on a pitch, he gives you a little bounce at the end.
Now 3-1 pitch to Phillips, and it's hit right back to Hampton. As you heard Don Baylor say, he's a good fielding pitcher. That was an easy chance, and that's an easy 1-2-3 inning for Mike Hampton.
Napa. Get the good stuff.
She's dark green, cashback, low intro, and end of the month. He's yellow, travel, everyday rate, and middle of the month. She's purple, travel, low intro, and beginning of the month. Bank One's Personal Platinum, the simple way to choose your rate, your reward, your billing date, even your color. Bank One's Personal Platinum, issued by us, but created by you. Individual answers. Bank One.
Nuggets. Nuggets.
Well, that's nice, James, but I asked you to spell rhinoceros.
At Wendy's, our all-white meat chicken nuggets are so good people can't get them off their minds. What? It's the best 99 cents you can spend.
The power is in your hand. The Wagner Wide Shot Power Painter. Professional results in about a third of the time. The one and only Wagner Power Painter. For guys who like to run wide open.
There's a look at the Braves dugout. Now let's check out the Braves batting order. For Carl DeRosa and Sheffield, 1, 2, and 3. The heart of the order: Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, followed by Robert Vick, Javi Lopez, Vinny Castilla, and Mike Hampton. Carl is going to stand in. We'll check out the defense shortly.
Carl, 286, 13 home runs. He was 3 out of 4 last night. And So's first pitch low and away for a ball. So's faced the Braves 3 times already this year. He's beaten them once, lost to them once. 1 no decision. He's pitched pretty well.
Terrific earned run average.
And he calls out Vance Wilson.
While they confer, let's show you the Mets defense. In left field is Cliff Floyd. They mentioned the youngster, Duncan up the middle, Cedeno in right, Phillips and Wigginton on the corner, Reyes and Sanchez up the middle, then Vance Wilson, and there is Mr. Sale.
Here's the 1-0 for Carl, line into center field, and caught. Nice play by the rookie Jeff Duncan. That ball may have been knuckling on him a little bit. It was hit right on a button by Rafael Furcal.
I think most of the times as a hitter you like to hit the ball hard. Rafael Furcal may wish he hadn't have hit this one so hard. I think you're right, Pete. That thing was taking some, it took a funky trip to get to Duncan in center. He did a good job, snow coned it, kept it on the heel of the glove.
I think he caught most of that barehanded. That hand may be stinging a little bit out there. He's not going to let anybody know. Of course,
no.
He's a rookie in the starting lineup for the New York Mets. Watch his bare hand here. He catches this ball barehanded.
Hits the heel of the glove and then hits his throwing hand. He's lucky he didn't drop it.
0-1 now. Mark DeRosa had the game-winning hit last night, hitting .236, 4 home runs in there for Marcus Giles again tonight. Giles took infield tonight, took batting practice tonight, available to pinch hit, and might be back in the starting lineup as early as tomorrow. 1-1 to DeRosa. He went, says Jim Wolf. It's 1-2.
Fastball, changeup, curveball, and a slider. He throws strikes. He doesn't mind changing speeds. One of the things the Mets talk about for Jae-Woon So is his changeup. He will throw it at any count.
And he has that little pause in his delivery, which really causes hitters to get a little messed up on their timing. It comes right in the middle of his windup. When he brings his glove back down, there'll be just a pause there, and it varies in length. He breaks out of that pause right there, different times each delivery. It's not a real fluid motion where you can pick up the ball that easily. 3-2 now in DeRosa. Well, he wants Vance Wilson out there again. Vance is going to tell him 1 for a fastball, 2 for a curveball, 3 for a slider, 4 for changeup.
Yeah, 4 or wiggle is a changeup.
This game being televised, by the way, back in South Korea.
And he's got his bracelet on there that he had on once before that the Braves requested that he take off in response to that. Art Howe requested that John Smoltz not pitch in a white T-shirt. So a little cat and mouse game going on.
Well, he loses Mark DeRosa with a 1-out walk. And that'll bring up Gary Sheffield, 0 for 3 last night. And batting .324 for the year, 22 home runs. Although he's one of 2 Braves, Javi Lopez being the other one, who haven't homered in a while. Gary Sheffield's last home run came June 27th in Tampa Bay.
He's talking about that bracelet. Sometimes you'll see something like that, and somebody in the dugout will say, hey, he's got it on. You want him to take it off? I remember Gene Mauch used to say, whether it was a white T-shirt or whether it was a Band-Aid or what, let's see how he's doing.
Wait till that runner gets in scoring position. Then
yeah,
maybe.
let's wait till he gets in a jam. If he's shutting us down, then let's go say something. Let's don't do it right away. Let's see what kind of start he gets off to.
The 1-0 pitch to Sheffield, striking the outside corner, and it's even 1-1.
Such a fluid delivery for So.
And easy gas, as hitters like to call it. Just doesn't have a lot of effort in that delivery, and he gets it up there 90, 91 miles an hour. They will appeal to first, no swing, says Mike Everett. The count 2-1 on Sheffield with Chipper Jones on deck.
Gary Sheffield waits a long time, generates a lot of bat speed, and how he stops it going through when he changes his mind. Well, that time he didn't. But how he does that still amazes me for a guy who generates as much bat speed.
Here's the 2-1 on the way, and there's a line drive into center field. Duncan will not get to this one. Base hit. And they're at first and second with 1 out. Trying to get an early jump on the New York Mets. And the way the New York Mets are constructed right now with all these young players and with very little power in their lineup, they really can't afford to get themselves into a hole early in a game. They don't look like the kind of club that's going to be able to come back and score a lot of runs late in games to win. They're going to have to get well-pitched ball games.
But get behind early has been something they've been doing all year long. When you check their total runs allowed, more in the first inning than any other inning.
Now Chipper Jones, 287 with 17 home runs for the year, and a Mets killer over the years. His best numbers in almost every category in his career have come against the New York Mets. 29 career home runs, a .346 career average against Mets pitching. One and one the count on Chipper Jones. First and second, one man out in the bottom of the first. 11th meeting of the year. The Braves have won 7 out of 10 against New York.
Most of the time, I don't think the pitcher expects to pick off a guy. I just want to try to shorten his lead by a step.
center field, and Duncan can't get to that one. That'll get a run in. DeRosa will score. It's 1-0 Atlanta. Chipper Jones strikes again. His 58th RBI of the year. 1-0 Atlanta.
Pitchers have been getting Chipper Jones out with fastballs in on his hands and then with change-ups away. That's what they wanted to do there, come in on his hands, but the fastball tail right back out over the plate where he could have a good swing at it. And I think he's made some adjustments, Pete. It looks like his front side has opened up just a little, allowing him a little bit more bat speed to those pitches inside.
That'll bring up Andrew Jones, who is 2 out of 4 in last night's game. Hitting .282 with 23 home runs for the year. 1 ball, no strikes. And again, Wilson and So will meet. Wonder what the problem could be. Usually you'll see a lot of meetings when there's runners at second base, maybe to get the sequence of signs right. But all these meetings have taken place with nobody on at second.
And it's still daylight, what we hear catchers and pitchers say a lot here at Turner Field. With no outfield lighting, it's hard to see the signs later on. But that shouldn't be a problem now. It's still very bright out.
Got a good rip at a high fastball. Didn't get it. 1 ball, 1 strike. We're into the RBI portion of the Braves lineup right now with Gary Sheffield 70, Chipper Jones 58, Andrew Jones 64, Robert Fick 52, Javi Lopez 52, Vinny Castillo 49. This Braves club, when they get Marcus Giles back in the lineup, has a chance to have 6 players with 80 RBIs this year. 6.
You know, when you think about that, when you put it that way, that's 480 runs. That's a minimum of 3 runs a game given.
Right.
Now, what else is going to happen with those guys that get 115 and some guys coming off the bench? So it's almost like pitchers with the Braves are guaranteed 3 runs a game if nothing else happens.
In the left field, that's a base hit. That'll get Gary Sheffield in. Chipper Jones will head for third now as the ball is bobbled by Floyd in left field. 2-0 Atlanta. There's RBI number 65 for Andrew Jones. Still only 1 out in the inning, and Vern Rule makes an early trip to the mound.
When you're pitching like Jae-Woon So, a guy who has to change speeds, you also have to locate. What he's going through early in this ball game is some of the same things that happened to Greg Maddux early in the year. Nothing wrong with his stuff, but 88 miles an hour letter high down the middle could be hazardous to your health.
How about familiarity with the team? The team is seeing a guy for the 4th time this year. Maybe his stuff was a little new to them the first couple times around. They've hit him a little harder in his 3rd start, and even harder still this start.
Most definitely, Pete, that is a big point. And I'll tell you, a guy who would pick up on stuff like that, that would be Don Baylor. Don Baylor had a few words with Vern Rule before Vern Rule, the pitching coach, went out.
When a pitcher is indecisive, it's no different than a hitter being indecisive. Right, because you get stuck in between pitches. I'm looking for this, and they throw that. You know, that's the only reason he's calling timeout. He's got to be decisive about what he wants to do.
Great point. And your
That's
point,
all those meetings.
Yep, and your point could be a good one, too. They're seeing him better. They're hitting him differently, so he's not as confident with his pitch selection as he could have been the first 2 times.
Robert Fick, a .297 hitter. 1 ball, 1 strike on Fick. 2 runs are in. Runners are at first and third. Still only 1 out. Braves have won 10 of their last 11 games. They're 30 games over 500, matching their best ever record through 94 games. 62 wins, 32 losses. And starting fast tonight, ball 2. I wonder if any Mets found a baby kitten here and named it Turner.
Hope it was a male if they did.
That story made national news. Robert Fick finding that stray kitten at Shea Stadium, named it Shea, took it home. 3-1 now on Robert Fick. Javi Lopez on deck. There's Jennifer Fick, who's
Catwoman.
Yeah, her duties in New York wound up including a visit to the vet. That's back out of play, and it's full 3-2.
I think one of the funniest parts of that whole story was when Fick took the cat home, he forgot that Jennifer had gone out to the theater that night, and she had the key, so he's sitting out in the hall playing with a stray cat when Bobby Cox walks by his room on the way to his room, and he goes, "You all right, Robert?"
Runner going, fouled off by Robert Fick, and it stays 3-2. Yeah, managers see a lot of things sometimes from ball players, but very seldom do they see one sitting in the hallway with a baby kitten.
No, that's got to be a first. Sure, in the past there might have been somebody there from the Kit Kat Club, but I doubt very seriously there's a baby kitten before.
Andrew was running on the last 3-2 pitch. That almost was a balk. He just did get off the rubber prior to making that fake to first.
All fastballs, location must be important. Whoa.
That will load him up. Second walk of the inning issued by So. And that's going to get the bullpen up in the very first inning for the New York Mets as Javi Lopez comes to the plate. Javi at 307 with 23 home runs. We told you about Gary Sheffield, how long it's been since he's hit a homer. Javi Lopez has been even longer. The last time Javi Lopez homered back on June 24th against the Phillies.
One of the things that Javi Lopez has done this year when he's been successful is be more patient. That could be important right now against a pitcher who's having trouble putting the ball where he wants it. With what So has done to this point, if he's patient, he's going to get a pitch to handle it this at bat.
2 runs in, bases loaded, 1 man out here in the first inning. Into left field, Chipper Jones scores. Andrew Jones being waved around. That ball bobbled by Floyd in left field. The throw comes to third. 2 more runs are in, and Atlanta has a 4-0 lead. RBIs number 53 and 54 for Javi Lopez.
And by being patient, I didn't mean take 3 or 4 pitches, but being patient means finding a pitch that's a hitter's pitch, not a pitcher's pitch. And Javi Lopez got one. Another fastball that tailed back just above the knees. 2 times in the outfield. Cliff Floyd has had trouble gathering of it. But patience doesn't necessarily mean the number of pitches. It means the location. Wait for the location of a pitch you can handle.
2 RBIs for Javi Lopez. An error charge to Floyd, enabling Fick to advance to third. The batter will be Vinny Castilla. Vance Wilson buying the bullpen a little time out here.
Well, when you're not scoring runs and you're struggling a little bit with your pitching staff, that will kill you.
Pedro Feliciano is the pitcher that has gotten up in the Mets bullpen. And I'll guarantee you, when he took that walk down to that bullpen, he didn't expect to be up in the first inning. Here's Vinny Castilla. How hot is he? 7-game hitting streak, 17 for 28 during that streak. This might be a double play that's going to get So out of the inning, and does. But it's a 4-run first inning for the Atlanta Braves.
In the old days, athlete's foot meant using Lotrimin AF or Tenactin for 4 whole weeks.
Podcast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
It's time for Holiday Inn Express in the booth, powered by AOL for broadband. If you have a question, send us an email. We'll select a question to answer a little bit later on in the game. See what the first pitch is like, then I'll give you that email address. Send your question to MLB on TBS at AOL.com, and please be sure, like it, if you to include your name and where you're from.
Well, here's one of the walking wounded for the Mets, Cliff Floyd. He's got a bad wrist. He's got a bad Achilles. Trying to tough it out, a 271 average, 15 home runs, and as we mentioned, really the only power threat. Good play, Robert Fick. High throw. Hampton comes down with it and makes the tag. Well, you saw some of the athleticism of Mike Hampton there. He got up in the air pretty good.
And without a whole lot of warning, too, because when you're coming to first base, you're trying to get yourself in a rhythm to take the ball in time to get an eye on it and catch the bag. Hampton had almost gotten to the bag, had to stop suddenly and go up the ladder to make this. This is a good play on both sides. See how he paced himself and slowed down so he would arrive there at the same time as the ball.
So 4 in a row retired by Hampton now. Now Ty Wigginton had a home run here last night. He's 1 for 4 in the series. A 267 average for the year. Another rookie in the Mets starting lineup. 1 ball, 1 strike. He's almost had the reverse of the kind of season they thought he could. He's having a pretty good year offensively, but I think they thought he'd have a better one. They were concerned about his defense. He's having a very good year defensively. That's out of play. 1-2.
Did he kind of laugh a little bit about that earlier? Because that's the reverse of how they concerned themselves about him in the minors.
Yeah, he said coming up in the minor leagues, he was always looked upon as being a good defensive player, and the bat was the question. By the time he made it to the major league spring training camp, the bat was not a question at all. It was where you're going to play him. He played some first, he played some second, he played some third. They settled for him at third. 1-2 on Wigginton.
We talked about Mets giving up a lot of runs in the first inning. The Braves pitchers have done some of that too. But in this series, or in these matchups, the Braves have outscored the Mets 14-3 in the first inning in the 11 games.
Still a ball and 2 strikes on Wigginton. Hampton 6-6 lifetime against the Mets, and of course he also pitched for the Mets.
Did a good job with him.
And then left for that free agent contract with Colorado. Out of there on strikes is Wigginton. Second strikeout for Hampton. 5 in a row retired, and that'll bring up Roger Cedeno. Hitting .251 with 4 homers. Yeah, Hampton was a 15-game winner for the Mets in 2000 and signed a big contract with Colorado for the 2001 season. And usually gets the old Bronx cheer when he shows up at Shea Stadium, even though it's in Queens. Because he abandoned the Mets. And they don't like that there. In fact, they're kind of grumpy most of the time right now at Shea Stadium, and you can understand why. This team had great expectations going into spring training, and nothing has gone right. Some of their big boppers got hurt. And now the youth movement is on. The renovation, as Jim Duquette calls it. 1 ball, 1 strike on Cedeno. They do have a lot of money available, though, for that free agent market. And it'll be interesting to see who they go after in the offseason. Mike Piazza working in the radio booth tonight for the Mets.
Sure. There you go. Finally get journalists up here, and now the jocks want to be on it.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Everybody's telling me that he looks in terrific shape.
Still probably a month or so away from being able to get back into action. Towards second, DeRosa. On to first, and Hampton has another 1-2-3 inning. 6 in a row set down by Mike Hampton.
Now, wherever your allergies.
Here are those two at-bats we talked about a little bit earlier. Being patient is not how many pitches, it's waiting to get your pitch. Javi Lopez got a fastball that came back over the middle of the plate. Vinny Castilla, who followed him, went out and got a slider out away from him. Javi Lopez was patient for a hitter's pitch. Vinny Castilla made an out on a pitcher's pitch.
Mike Hampton, a .269 average. He has a home run this year with 5 RBIs. Good hitting pitcher. Braves have a couple of them. Nothing in 2 on Hampton. What Art Howe is looking for right now from So is just to settle down, give him 3 or 4 more innings, so he doesn't have to go to that bullpen in the 2nd or 3rd inning. Off the end of the bat, Hampton can run. So the first in time. Let's go to Aaron Andrews in TBS Sports Control.
Well, Pete, the Astros have owned the Reds this season, winning 7 straight. To the top of the 3rd, Jeff Bagwell says goodbye to Ryan Dempster's pitch. That's a 3-run shot, his 398th career homer. Richard Hidalgo added a solo shot in the 4th. Houston leads 4-1, bottom of the 4th. Guys, back out to you.
And Cincinnati beginning to fade now with not only their record 8 games under 500, but now Ken Griffey Jr. out for the year again. Here's Percal, who fly to center.
Well, I know one of the question marks all year for Bob Boone has been, can we milk this pitching staff throughout the year? And starting pitching hasn't done a real good job for it.
1 ball, 1 strike on Percal. 4 runs, 4 hits for Atlanta. No runs or hits for the Mets. Now they've gone back to that 1st inning and charged Floyd with a 2nd error. So give the Mets 2 errors in that 1st inning. Percal retired, 2 gone. And Mark DeRosa will be the batter. Remember, there were 2 balls that Floyd flubbed out in left field there, trying to field base hits. And the ball hit by Andrew Jones and the ball hit by Javi Lopez. So a pair of errors now charged to Floyd. DeRosa got it going for the Braves in the 1st inning when he walked and scored. One and one.
Took a little good-natured ribbing last night for his 62-foot check swing single to win the ball game.
If you're a hitter, you take whatever you can get.
Exactly right, because probably 3-to-1 line drives hit hard but right at somebody.
How about the last road trip? How many fly balls caught on the warning track in center field just shy of the wall? 1 ball, 2 strikes on DeRosa with 2 outs. And he's out of there, and so does have a 1-2-3 inning.
Brought to you by Viagra, was provided by Hank Blaylock. A long home run at U.S. Cellular Field. That is our clutch performance of the week.
And as we go to the 3rd inning, it'll be Vance Wilson, Ray Sanchez, and Jay Wung So due up against Mike Hampton, who's retired 6 in a row. Nothing in 1 on Vance Wilson. 0 for 4 last night. 277 for the year. Shallow right field. Sheffield has room in foul territory. And that's 7 straight now retired by Hampton.
And I think significant, Pete, is that that's the first out recorded in the outfield. When Mike Hampton is on, he is one of the leaders in the National League in ground balls induced. It's always like almost 1.5 to 2-to-1 ground ball outs to fly ball outs.
Ray Sanchez having a terrible year, hitting just .205. He's only 2 out of his last 16. 1 ball, no strikes. You know what kind of slipped under the radar last night? Greg Maddux had that complete game victory against the Mets. I didn't see it anywhere in any of the news accounts today. He is now the winningest pitcher in history against the New York Mets franchise. That was his 31st career win against the Mets. That's 1 more than Steve Carlton, 3 more than Bob Gibson, 5 more than Juan Marichal, 6 more than Phil Niekro, 7 more than Don Drysdale, all Hall of Famers. He is now the all-time winningest pitcher ever against the New York Mets, and the only active pitcher now with 30 or more wins against any team. Roger Clemens has more wins than Maddox has, but he hasn't beaten any team 30 times.
And I think that was more than just a 9-inning game for Greg Maddox last night.
I think that was a statement.
I think so too, and I think it was a shot in the arm for the Braves, because you heard Gary Sheffield, a number of the regulars say, we don't think we played our best because we've got the best record in baseball, and our 2 horses on the pitching staff still haven't performed up to what they're capable of. And I think he delivered. I think Mike Hampton wants to follow it.
See if Urcal can run this one down. He can't. Base hit for Ray Sanchez, and that's the first Mets base runner of the night. And will bring up the pitcher. It was 2 out of 29. I guess if you're the Mets, you just have to keep scrapping away 1 run at a time with so little power in your lineup. So may be bunting here, even though they're down 4 runs.
Well, he's an 069 hitter, so a bunt might be his best opportunity to provide some help.
And he gets the bunt down. Whoa, almost a miscommunication there, and they don't get him. Hampton and Lopez miscommunicated on it. They both ran by the ball the first time, and by the time the play was made at first base, it was too late.
This play, the quarterback is the catcher. It's his job to decide who grabs the ball and where the play is made. And it looked like as Javi Lopez walked past Mike Hampton, he said something that could have been, you know, my fault or my bad. But the catcher is the guy who's the traffic cop on that play.
That'll be scored, a base hit for the pitcher, and it puts runners at first and second, 1 out for Jose Reyes. He's the Mets phenom. You heard about him all spring. There was some talk about keeping him on the Major League club this spring, but they thought, well, he's only played Class A baseball. He might need a little more seasoning, but here it is midseason, and he's up here anyway. He's only 20 years old. Pick in foul territory. Can't get there. 1 ball, 1 strike. There are so many youngsters and so many guys who have been called up from the minor leagues playing on the New York Mets this year that David Weathers, the veteran relief pitcher, is referring to this team as the New York Tides. Mets AAA club is the Norfolk Tides. Weathers quoted in a couple of newspaper articles this week as saying, well, we're the New York Tides now, we're young. Here's the 1-1. On the ground to first, pick to second. That's all. Over to third goes Sanchez. 2 men out. And now Jeff Duncan. He wasn't even playing with the Tides. He was playing in Binghamton, AA, Eastern League. When he was called up, he was hitting .288 down there.
You were telling me that .288 in the Eastern League could be a higher number somewhere else, huh?
Yeah, I worked a couple of years in that league, and the first 45 days or so, average temperature is about 39 for those night games.
A pitcher's delight.
Pitchers love it. Tony Torsha won a batting title in the Eastern League one of the years I was there, and he hit .298. And that led the Eastern League. Look it up. 1967 or 68, one of those years. 1 ball, no strikes on Jeff Duncan. First and third, 2 outs. Two balls, no strikes. Jeff Duncan, a little bit like Tom Glavine in that he was both a star baseball and hockey player in high school in Illinois. Went to Lamont High School, and he was an all-state hockey player his junior and senior years, as well as being an outstanding baseball player. Tom Glavine will pitch tomorrow for the 4th time against his former team, trying to beat him for the first time. He'll face Russ Ortiz. 3-1. That's a great opportunity for these kids, Duncan, Reyes.
Well, you're getting your on-the-job training at the highest level. And you know what this can do? You know, we've heard how the Arizona Fall League is the springboard to the big leagues for a lot of guys. This can be even bigger springboard than the Arizona Fall League.
First walk issued by Hampton loads the bases for Jason Phillips. Now, Phillips has been kind of a backup catcher, either the third string catcher for the Mets or going back down to AAA. Now, he's proven something up here after Mo Vaughn got hurt. He moved over to first base, and not only has he been swinging a good bat, but he's done a pretty good defensive job at first.
Made a couple of terrific plays last night.
You find out things about players. I ran into Bruce Benedict, who's an assistant to the general manager of the Mets after the game last night, and he was saying, well, we are where we are, and all we can do now is find out about some people. And that's what you do when you're having a bad year. You run some people out there, some kids, some young players, see what you've got, what you've got to build on. Burkall will play it on to first, and that's out number 3.
Heating up. You can keep cool by sporting your summer threads and get your MLB Authentic Collection player quality caps, jerseys, t-shirts, and more. MLB.com shop for all things baseball.
Gary Sheffield, who singled and scored in the first inning, leads off the third against Jay Woong So, and it's a ball to Gary Sheffield. Chefs are here tonight at Turner Field up in the right field upper deck. Fan club that began with a handful of people here in Atlanta and has become a national fad. They show up everywhere.
The culinary clan has grown.
The Atlanta Braves, of course, taking full advantage of any marketing opportunity. You can buy those chef's hats at any of the vending areas here at Turner Field. 1 ball, 1 strike on.
Now, you know what Gary ought to do next?
Gary Sheffield.
Gary ought to come out with a chef cookbook.
Good idea. Just beyond the reach of Sanchez. And Gary Sheffield is 2 out of 2. Hit number 5 off So. And that'll bring up Chipper Jones, an RBI single. Later, a run scored. As he continues his personal assault on New York Mets pitching. And he loves to do it because of that Larry taunt that he hears every time he plays in Shea Stadium. Well, as his expression, he said somehow the Larry doesn't bother him nearly as much when you go back to the dugout after hitting a home run as it does when you walk back after striking out.
You know, you can tell you have a veteran second baseman in Ray Sanchez because so many times with a double play in order, we see teams that will move the shortstop closer to second with Chipper Jones there, but the second baseman also moves. If you're going to throw him off-speed stuff, you got to plug the hole over there.
2-1 now on Chipper Jones.
That's 3 off-speed pitches in a row. But Sanchez is a veteran. He's seen about every hitter that's playing in the big leagues now, and he's making that adjustment on his own.
And it's going to pay off. They'll get the 4th. No, they won't either. Bad throw by Sanchez. Skips past Reyes in the left field. 3rd error of the day made by the Mets. It wasn't going to be a double play, but they should have gotten 1 there. Instead, they got neither. And the 2-base error puts runners at 2nd and 3rd with nobody out for Andrew Jones.
Well, he had positioned himself right spot to get at least 1. It looked like they never got a grip of that ball coming out of his glove. And I think he might have had a shot had the throw been chest high to Reyes. Right there, Reyes, 2 things on his mind. One of them obviously was catching the ball, but the other was to get out of the way of spikes of Gary Sheffield. He was getting close to him.
Ray Sanchez makes very few errors. That's only the 3rd error he has made at second and short combined this year. Very unusual to see him make a bad throw like that. Andrew Jones had a single and an RBI in the 1st inning. Atlanta already up 4-0. Reyes into shallow left. Runners have to stay put. And that'll bring up Robert Fick.
Wonder if Art Howe's going to be tempted to put Fick on. I think I would and take my chances and try to get a double play off the bat of Javi Lopez.
Fick threw a walk in the first inning, an unintentional walk. And this time it'll be of the intentional variety, as already Vance Wilson is giving the signal. And this will be the third walk issued by So.
Still see a lot of pitching coaches encourage a guy when he's intentionally walking to go ahead and complete the pitch with his natural delivery, maybe about 80%. That keeps you in a good rhythm because the most important pitch you're going to make is going to be the next one after the intentional walk.
Bases loaded for Javi Lopez. Let's go to TBS Sports Control, Aaron Andrews.
Well, Pete, you won't see Carlos Delgado get many RBIs like this one. To Fenway, top of the third, a bad jump by right fielder Trot Nixon. And that allows Delgado to play his 98th run of the season. Jays leading this one 3-1, top of the sixth. Back out to Turner Field.
Not bad, 98 RBIs by July 18th. Ooh. That'll make you a couple of extra bucks next contract negotiation. Javi Lopez, a 2-run single, his first time up, and up there again with the bases loaded. Takes a strike.
That's iambic pentameter, isn't it?
Member of the Chiffons. Let's see. 1 ball, 1 strike on Javi Lopez. Did not go. 2-1. Pick at first, Jones at second, Sheffield at third. Caught the corner, 2-2. Jim Wolf, the plate umpire tonight. The brother, as Don mentioned, he's the older brother of Randy Wolf, and Randy Wolf pitching tonight for the Phillies, so he's keeping an eye on that Philadelphia Phillies Montreal game, see how his brother's doing.
4 pitches inside, 2 changeups, 2 fastballs.
And there's the ground ball to short. Reyes going to second, 1. Sanchez to first, not in time. Could not get the double play. Another RBI for Javi Lopez, his third of the night as Sheffield scores, and it's now 5-0 Atlanta. I was a little surprised Reyes didn't come home with that ball. I thought he might because it was really a long throw to second base to try to get a double play started.
Good off-speed pitch, and he had to go to his right. You're right. Probably a better shot at going to third to get one, or at going to home maybe to get the leading run. He had time to throw home.
So it's 5-0 Atlanta now. And here's Vinny Castilla hit into a 6-4-3 double play in the first inning. When the Braves scored 4 of their 5 runs. Trying to stay hot. He went into the All-Star break red hot, and he did not want that All-Star break to pop up when it did. He said, I want to play every day when I'm swinging the bat like this. Well, he came out of the break swinging the bat same way. 3 more hits last night.
Heck, who knows? He might have played in an over 30 league those 3 days.
He might have. One ball, 1 strike. Missed the breaking ball. It's 1-2.
Well, that's a swing you didn't see him take during that stretch.
No, he was right on that pitch, hitting it to right or right center field. Kind of pulled off that one. And out of there and strikes, tied him up inside after throwing him that breaking ball away. So got out of that in pretty good shape. Only 1 run scores, but it's now 5-0.
The show with style, substance, and sophistication is back in prime time. Seinfeld Heartfelt Prime Time. Every Wednesday night, starting at 8 Eastern on TBS Superstation.
Not too close. What do you think? I got that insurance?
What insurance is that, Yogi?
Aflac.
The one you really need to have. If you don't have it, that's why you need it.
Need what?
Aflac.
Well, if you get hurt and miss work, it won't hurt to miss work. And they give you cash, which is just as good as money.
Aflac. Ask about it at work.
Napa application-engineered brake pads and rotors can stop you 20 feet shorter than ordinary brakes. That's important. Because you can't always count on there being an extra 20 feet of road when you need it. Napa. Get the good stuff.
The first major advance for the fastest treatment of athlete's foot is Lamisil AT. Lamisil AT is the first non-prescription medicine proven to kill the fungus with just 1 week's use. Not even a prescription can beat that. Lotrimin AF and Tinactin still expect you to treat for 4 weeks. Who's going to do that? When your feet itch and burn, using Lamisil AT 1 week keeps you athlete's foot free 3 months. Lamisil AT. There's no better way to cure athlete's foot.
Round trip blah blah to blah blah blah, blah dollars. Blah blah with blah blah on the side, blah dollars. Blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah dollars. Winning a weekend house and escaping the blah blah blah, priceless. Every time you use your MasterCard, you're automatically entered for a chance to win use of a weekend house for a year. Go to mastercard.com for details.
All Atlanta so far, 5-0 through 3 over the New York Mets. Time for tonight's Aflac trivia question. Here it is. Who are the last 2 pitchers to win 20 or more games and hit at least 300 in the same season, I'm assuming?
That's a good question.
You can eliminate all American League hitters for the last, pitchers for the last 30 years.
Cliff Floyd to start it for the Mets. Mets are down 5-0. Mike Hampton working on a 2-hit shutout. It'll be Floyd, Wigginton, and Cedeno. Last night, Greg Maddux with a complete game. 2 years to the day since his last complete game. Mike Hampton has had a little while since he's beaten the Mets. May 9th, 2001. 0-2 to Floyd. And that was his last shutout. Hampton last year with a couple of starts against the Mets, 0-1, but a good, decent earned run average. And then the only start he's made against them this year, he dropped it for them, 4-2. That came right at the end of May. But now with a leg up, leading 5-0 through 3 innings. 1-2. Floyd has had a measure of success against Mike Hampton, hitting 300 against him in 10 at-bats. Not too many guys in this lineup have had many at-bats against him. That's in the air to right center field. And Andrew Jones will grab it just shy of the warning track. Only the second out recorded in the outfield. Out number 1 in the 4th inning. One out, and here's Ty Wigginton. Wigginton struck out swinging his first time. Making him 1 out of 4 against Hampton. Ball 1. He has a lot, and I don't know if it's deliberate. Every hitter, I think, has his own natural way of doing things, and that's probably altered a little bit by somebody you admire or you watch a little bit. 1-1. He doesn't have the exaggerated squat, but he has some of the mannerisms of Jeff Bagwell in his swing. Bagwell with his legs bent, flexed. You really have to be strong in the upper body to hit like that. There's a little flex there. That's drilled to left field. Played on one hop by Chipper Jones, and for the Mets, their third hit of the night.
And as you know, Don Baylor has a microphone on tonight, and he's trying to get Roger Cedeno going.
After he gets ahead, he won't throw your strike. He'd rather you swing at a ball than throw your strike. Change his speed, change up, little cutter in the dirt. So that first ball you see, you jump on that ball. That's a strike. That's a strike.
Key phrase there, if it's a strike.
Let's see how well Roger Cedeno follows orders or suggestions. Swung at a ball.
A changeup.
Well, so much for that.
Yeah.
That's got to drive you nuts. You spend all that time getting the hitter prepared for that at bat, and he goes up there and chases a pitch down around his ankles.
Yeah. Good listener, but no memory. Kind of like my computer.
Well, it's a long ways from that dugout to the batter's box. You forget a lot of things along the way.
He grounded to second his first time up. That's hit hard to right field. Sheffield headed to the warning track and makes the over-the-shoulder catch. Wigginton will have to hot-foot it back to first. And he's there, so pretty good at bat for Cedeno. It took it one pitch for it to sink in, but that was a good approach there.
Well, he got a strike there. See, that was outside corner. Actually got a little more than the outside corner. Outer half of the plate. Good play by Sheffield. Kind of tiptoeing back onto that warning track. Wigginton seeing the catch made. He thinks he might be doubled up. Sheffield through to second base. He wasn't sure where the runner was.
Out number 2, and Vance Wilson is the hitter. Wilson flied to right his first time up. Big sweeping curveball in for strike 1. Hampton had set down 6 in a row before Wilson was retired by Gary Sheffield. There's that little cutter down and in.
That's been a good pitch. That's been a good pitch for him tonight.
I think that's a pitch recently that he's thrown more competently than any of the others. And he's getting a lot of...
He's been able to throw it for strikes. Early in the year, and he was trying to throw that pitch, everything was up and away to right-hand hitters.
0-2. Up the middle. If he's not running, that's a base hit. But with Wigginton on the move, Mark DeRosa ran right into the path of the ball, and the Mets are turned away again in the 4th inning. Still 5-0.
In a putt. 2 under on the front 9. On the back 9, different story.
The shocking new season of Ripley's begins August 6th on TBS Superstation.
It's there at your fingertips. Armor All Protectant Wipes. They don't just clean and shine. They protect with just a wipe.
That's the way to come back after a bogey on 9. Shot an even 71. He's 2 over for the tournament. There's...
The experts at Hotels.com know how close all the places are to where you want to stay. All at the best price. Hotels.com. Best prices, best places. Guaranteed.
The power is in your hands.
Ouch. Saved himself a couple of strokes and would end up par in the hole. Now DL3 with shot number 3 on the par 4 18th.
It's the XWL 110% hard, premiering July 13th and all month long on pay-per-view. You'll see Buff the Stuff Bagwell, the Road Warriors, the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, Kid Cash, Vampiro, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, the Nasty Boys, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Rowdy Roddy Piper, Greg Valentine, North.
Oh, see a couple other names on the list. One name you will not see on the list, Jim Furyk, U.S. Open champ, headed home, missed the cut after rounds of 70.
Playing this month on Dish on Demand pay-per-view. The Pianist.
To have gotten in, I made a couple.
Seen the superior officer. Do you understand me?
I understand you like to fight. It's the only way some people learn.
Antoine Fisher. Take a break from routine TV. Order a pay-per-view movie from Dish on Demand.
Let's answer our Aflac trivia question. We were looking for the last two pitchers with a 300 batting average and 20-plus wins in a season. One of them up right now, Mike Hampton.
And he's going to ground to third on one pitch. Who's the other guy?
He had 311 with 22 wins in 1999. The other guy was an American leaguer. But you have to go all the way back to 1971, Catfish Hunter. Won 21 games, hit 350.
Both were and are good athletes, Mike. Hampton, a good athlete, the late Catfish Hunter. Boy, we lost him at a young age. What a quality man.
Bobby Cox always said that he's the pitcher that Maddox reminds him the most of from when Bobby played.
Up for his second time is Rafael Furcal. 0 for 2, a fly to center, a grounder to first.
Bobby Cox, talking about Catfish Hunter, will tell you that Catfish only wanted to know one thing about a hitter. Where does he hold his hands? He didn't want any scouting report on what pitch does he like or where does he like. He just wanted to know where does he hold his hands. And Bobby said he'd pitch him right under his hands all day long, all night long.
So he wanted to know low, high.
Does he hold him up here? Does he hold him down there?
Interesting.
That was the only thing Catfish needed to know.
On the ground to first again. Not real smooth by Phillips, but he gets the put out and barely avoids a collision.
If you ever attended the Arthur Murray dancing school when you were a youngster, they used to put these little things out on the floor, and you had to follow the footsteps. 3 steps to the left, 1 step forward, 2 steps to the right.
But you find a partner before the dance, not during the dance.
Hey, as long as you get the out.
Out number 2. There were no wallflowers at that group. Here's DeRosa. Walked and scored and struck out. Mark is 0 for 1 at 234. Activity on the trade front today in baseball. Tony Womack, I don't know if you've heard this, the Arizona Diamondbacks have swapped him to the Colorado Rockies for a minor league pitcher named Mike Watson. And just found out the Cleveland Indians got Ryan Ludwig, an outfielder from the Texas Rangers, and sent Shane Spencer and Ricardo Rodriguez to the Rangers. 2 balls and a strike. I think they probably, Skip and Joe last night probably mentioned Bobby Kelty going from the Twins to Toronto for Shannon Stewart, the player. To center field. Duncan is there, and it's a 1-2-3, 4th inning for Jae-Woon So.
Allison, and this is our days in room. Factor in a great day.
Together we can achieve uncommon results. And Lamisil AT, the best way to cure athlete's foot.
Pretty close to a full house here at Turner Field, and definitely a full parking lot all the way around. Sanchez to lead it off. We're in the 5th inning. Mike Hampton authoring a 3-hit shutout. He has a 5-0 lead to play with. And it looks like that Art Howe is going to go to his bench after Sanchez. Jay Bell is in the on-deck circle. Up the middle. DeRosa's there. There's out number 1.
Well, it's the drama of NASCAR on TNT this weekend. It's off to the New Hampshire International Speedway. Saturday afternoon, it's Busch Series. And then on Sunday, it's Winston Cup action. For complete schedule information, log on to NASCAR.com.
Hey, you want a sport? We got it at the Turner family, don't we? Got the British Open. Braves and the Mets. You got NASCAR. Keep you busy. Here's Jay Bell. Bell normally, when he comes into Atlanta with a pretty good-sized collection of family and friends. Bell from the Northwest Florida area, down around Pensacola. And it's been a disappointing year for him the last couple of years. He's battled some injuries and ended up coming to the Mets after a nice, long, and successful run with the Arizona Diamondbacks. One and two.
Speaking of the British Open, did you hear Ernie Johnson Jr.'s line yesterday? The weather is here. Wish you were beautiful. It was, what, 40-mile-an-hour winds?
Yeah, there were some great lines came out of that. One of the guys, I can't remember who. Foul tip by Bell. He's still alive. Said Oh, it was simple. You just line your tee shot up 40 yards to the left or the right of where you want it to end up and let the wind take over.
I know people that play like that when it's not windy.
Is that why you gave the game up?
No.
1 and 2.
After our producer Glenn Diamond pointed out there was too much bending over in that game, I began to think about it.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Bill. Make it 3 and 2. Yeah, Glenn was saying he'd really missed you. On deck, Reyes waiting for his turn. And a payoff pitch to J. Bell. And he walked it. For Hampton, that's his second walk of the night. Duncan drew the other one. And certainly Mike is not pleased with that. You can see the expression on his face. A 5-0 lead, a pinch hitter hitting 194. You want to make him put the ball in play.
And you were ahead in the count at one point.
True. Well, here's Reyes. He's hitless in 2 tries. The youngster struck out looking and grounded to first base. Fick able to get the force at second. In the air, shallow right center. Who sees it and who wants it? A collision, but apparently it's all right. It looked like from our vantage point that Gary Sheffield called that right away. Maybe DeRosa didn't hear him, but injury avoided, out number 2.
Yeah, usually you'll see the infielder keep backpedaling till he hears the outfielder, and then he'll peel off, but DeRosa never did. Either he didn't hear Sheffield or he didn't believe it was Sheffield. Almost a heavier collision. That was close.
And Marcus Giles saying we don't need any more of those. There's Duncan, first pitch swinging, a chance for DeRosa, a little backhand flip, and the walk doesn't hurt Mike Hampton. Halfway home. Braves still up by 5.
Andrew telling him, hey, we got it out here. You don't have to come out here. How you think I'm going to get my golden glove? I got to get some fielding percentage. Get out of here.
A lot of that was true, too. They get most everything out there. Mark DeRosa's had the towel on ever since. I wonder if he got hit up around the mouth area.
He might have.
Got a new pitcher coming on. It's going to be Pedro Feliciano. 4 innings for so, 5 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. And there's Feliciano. This is his 14th appearance. Terrific earned run average of 283, and he's averaging right at a strikeout an inning. He last worked on July 10th and worked a scoreless 4 1/3 innings. And he'll face Gary Sheffield, and the changeup is outside for ball 1. He's facing Sheffield, a guy who is hitting close to 50 points better when you run a left-hander out there. 362 his batting average with a lefty. 2-0. Mets call Feliciano up from AAA. He was 3-2 with a save and an ERA slightly under 4. He'd been in 15 games when they called him up in the middle of May. 2-1.
He's been with a lot of different organizations, originally with the Dodgers. Spent a little time in the Cincinnati Reds organization. Tigers organization for a while.
Almost exclusively, though, as a reliever, right?
Yep.
In the air to left field. Did he get enough of it? They are now serving 363 with Shep, where Gary Sheffield is 23rd homer, 71st RBI, changed the number. Braves lead at 6-0. Perfect night going for Gary Sheffield. It's his 3rd hit of the night, his 3rd run scored.
And it ends that homerless drought. He hadn't hit one since back on June 27th in Tampa Bay. Not much question about this one once it left his bat.
A high changeup that got out of here in a hurry. And here's Chipper Jones. He's 1 for 2, single and a run scored. Back up the middle, look out. And the Braves are teeing off on Feliciano.
Yeah, this one almost took Feliciano right along with it into center field. Right down the middle and right back up the middle. When you see a ball like that hit, it's very easy to answer the question that fans sometimes ask you. Do you ever think they'll start using metal bats in the major leagues? Can you imagine a metal bat?
That would have gotten there probably about 30 or 40% faster. Andrew Jones is 1 for 2 with a run scored. Downstairs for ball 1. 3, 4, and 5 in the Braves batting order have scored 5 of the 6 runs and have driven home 3 of them. Out of play, 1 ball, 1 strike.
That's what's worked so well for this Atlanta team this year has been the balance in this batting order. You talk about where the runs are coming from tonight, 3, 4, and 5. Last night it was 6, 7, and 2 in the order that drove in the runs.
And the RBI production, half of them coming from 7th spot in the batting order tonight. Upstairs, and it's 2 and 1. Bobby Lopez with 3 tonight now has 55. Andrew Jones 65. Chipper Jones 58. Gary Sheffield 71. Low, and it's 3 and 1. Not many at-bats for the Braves. They haven't seen this youngster very much. That's to right field. Should be very playable for Cedeno if he can spot it. It is getting dark enough now that they can pick him up, and there's out number 1.
And check out our scoreboard. And as you check out the scores, remember that SI.com is your source for scores and for all breaking sports news. Montreal up on Philadelphia now.
And as you are checking out those scores, check out Robert Fick. He's been up twice. He's walked twice.
A couple of developments on the Expos front today, huh? You see those stories?
No, what happened there?
Well, first of all, I think it's the zoning board in Arlington, Virginia. The Board of Supervisors in Arlington, Virginia has turned down any chance of funding a stadium in Arlington, which sets the Northern Virginia people trying to get the Expos way back. They've got another site in Loudoun County, but that's a lot further away, and that's the least desirable site of the 5 that they had in mind.
Into right field. Base hit for Fick. Chipper Jones will stop at second. 3rd hit in the inning for the Braves. Runners at 1st and 2nd with 1 out.
And the second part is a little bit of noise now from the Montreal Expo players saying that no more sharing cities next year. The Players Association is going to back them up on this. They want to play in one place or the other, which probably means if they can't come up with a resolution to relocate the team in Washington, Northern Virginia, or Portland, means they'll either play the entire season in Montreal or the entire season in San Juan, Puerto Rico, which is looking more and more now like a possibility. They don't want to go through another year like they've had, and we kind of knew that would happen by this time of the year.
You can't blame them. It's a miserable life.
Yeah.
22 games down there. That means you have a 103-game road schedule.
And it's just kind of catching up with them now, and they're starting to fade, and they're starting to be tired, and no more. And the Players Association is behind them on that.
Javi Lopez, first pitch swinging. You'll see it drop into the seats. He's 1 out of 2, but he's picked up 3 RBIs.
But that Northern Virginia story, they're trying to get the club, of course, as is a group in Washington, D.C., and they had 5 potential stadium sites. 3 of them were in Arlington. 1 of them was in Springfield, and the other one in Loudoun County. And the 3 Arlington sites are now kaput. They're done. Springfield's not too crazy about it either, so the least desirable site is the only one left, and that really sets back the hopes of Northern Virginia.
Back up the middle and through. They're going to wave Chipper Jones to the plate. Duck and throw will not get him. Another RBI for Javi Lopez. Give him 4 for the night, and the Braves open up an even bigger lead.
Well, Javi Lopez has had some big RBI nights for the Braves this year, but it's been with a long ball. Tonight he's doing it with singles and hitting into a force play. Drove in 2 runs in the first inning with a single, hit into a short to second force play in the third, drove in 1, and now a base hit up the middle here, driving in his 4th run of the night.
You know what, Pete? That's the 5th time this year he's driven in 4 or more.
I'll bet you all the other times there was a home run involved. He went through that terrific hot streak there late May, early June, when he was hitting a home run seemingly every night.
Here's Vinny Castilla. He rolls it to third, and Wigginton can't hang on to it. That's going to be the 4th error of the night for the New York Mets, and that had double play written all over it.
Well, it's just going to be one of those nights for the Mets, and probably one of those years for the Mets the rest of the way. At 77 errors they've committed now this year. 4 of them tonight. That's a double play ball if he hangs onto it.
And the 77 errors, they trail only Cincinnati in that category. They're 11 behind the Reds, who have made 88. And that's going to bring Vern Rule out for a pep talk. That's all you can do now.
You know, throughout the first half of the season, when stories were written about the Mets' problems, most of it was about, well, Mo Vaughn is gone, Mike Piazza is gone, we have no pop in the lineup. And that's partially true. But the biggest problems that the Mets have had the last couple of years have been they've been a poor defensive ball club. And getting Mo Vaughn and Mike Piazza back does not improve that. They've got to improve their defense in a lot of areas.
Base is loaded for Mike Hampton. He takes ball 1. They're going to play the infield back and try to get 2. That's no automatic task with Hampton hitting, too. A lot of pitchers you can say, if we can get him to hit it on the ground, ho-hum, we got a double play, but Hampton can run.
One of the things we have really noticed in the series between the Braves and the Mets this year has been some of the poor outfield play, not just on balls that aren't caught, but on balls hitting the gap that aren't cut off before they get all the way to the wall. We've seen a couple of balls bobbled in left field tonight.
Strike 2 to Hampton.
And if you're a pitcher like Tom Glavine that comes out of a ball club that is known for having a good defensive outfield, and you go over there, you really see the difference.
Yes. A defensive swing will keep Hampton alive.
But it's true, they did have a lot of injuries this year. Piazza, Vaughn, Pedro Estacio, Al Leiter's been out for a while. Scott Strickland gone for the year. Mike Stanton was out for a while, so they had some pitchers down too. But they've got to get better defensively before they're going to be able to contend again.
Hampton rolls it up the middle. Reyes to first, and there's a double play. But the Braves pick up 2. One of them, Gary Sheffield's 23rd home run of the year, and they've opened up a big lead.
Cartoon Network presents a new series of our...
MasterCard, let's check out the action at Pro Player. Bottom of the 4th, Todd Hollinsworth takes Matt Clement the other way to make it 2-0 Florida. Pete and Don, the Cubs in danger of falling under 500 for the first time this season. Send it back out to Turner Field.
Thank you. And still looking for some outfield help, aren't they? They are one of the clubs always rumored to be looking for some more help. Offensively, Mike Hampton has had a lot of help. He sports a 7-run lead as he goes out in the 6th inning. He'll face Phillips, Floyd, and Wigginton. Phillips 0 for 2, hasn't gotten the ball out of the infield, and there's strike 1 to start it. Elvis Costello, huh?
That was my first impression when I saw those glasses.
I asked him about it when we were up in New York, because I told him, I said, we're giving you a lot of exposure with those and kind of giggling every now and then. He said, well, that's all right. He said, my other option, he wore contacts originally when he was playing minor league ball as a catcher. And he said, I had a ton of problems with it. Trainer went out and bought me some of those Chris Sabo welder's glasses, he said, and he said, I wasn't about to be seen in those. So had him go look, came up with these. They were comfortable. They don't ride up and down. They fit nicely, and
hey, whatever works.
That's kind of what he said. It works for a base hit this time. That's the 4th hit of the night for the Mets.
He came into this game with a .343 average against left-hand pitching this year.
1 out of 3 is going to keep it right about there. And here's to Floyd. Floyd hasn't had a whole lot of fun tonight. It's been an adventure in left field for him, and it's been a frustration at the plate. He's grounded to first, and he's flied to center. But this is a guy that, well, he struggled to stay well, but, well, he is as good a player as you could have on your ball club. From the minute he gets to the ballpark to the minute he leaves. He's been nominated for the Roberto Clemente Award. That's the award that exemplifies the game of baseball: sportsmanship, community involvement, contributions to the team, charitable involvement, just an all-around good guy. And he has been a nominee for about 3 years. Out in front of the plate, Hampton will take the sure one, thanks to a stretch by Robert Fick. There's out number 1.
Well, let's check out today's game summary presented by STP, and there you see it. It's been all Atlanta. Gary Sheffield, the big hitting hero, and the Mets not doing anything right. They aren't hitting, they aren't getting good pitching, and they aren't playing good defense.
And they have a runner at second base. Mike Hampton has just had 2 1-2-3 innings. That would have been the first and the second. Since then, he's had to pitch out of the stretch, and the Mets have had ample opportunity, but just couldn't deliver. One of the 4 hits belongs to Ty Wigginton. It was a single with 1 out in the 4th inning. Got it away for ball 1. Rolled toward left field and threw into left field. Phillips had to make sure it got through so he could only make it as far as third. And another threat for the Mets. They're at the corners with only 1 out.
Phillips really a station-to-station base runner anyway. He may not have been able to score had he taken off when that ball was hit. He's a very, very slow of foot. He's going back the other way, but even when he gets going, and that's full tilt for him.
Moving the same speed both directions. Well, he's made it to third, and I guarantee you a stand-up triple will score him. Here's Roger Cedeno. Cedeno is grounded to second and flied to right. 0 for 2 and at 249. Don Baylor, I don't know if you were with us earlier, but on our inside tracks, Baylor told him, wait for something to handle, then he's not going to throw you strikes. Well, twice Hampton has gotten strike 1 on him with a changeup off the plate. Almost the same pitch, wasn't it?
Yeah, same pitch as they chased the first time.
Next pitch.
The last time.
Next pitch the last time was a strike, and he hit it hard to right. And on the hands for strike 2.
This guy's a mystery, though. You look at his numbers from just 2 or 3 years ago. Looked like he was on his way to being one of the better top-of-the-order type hitters in the game.
I know they had high aspirations for him when he was in a Dodger uniform and just starting his career out west.
Look at the 99 season. Hit .313 with the Mets, stole 66 bases, played in 155 games.
He's got to head back to the dugout with this one, and 0 for 3.
And again, check out the location of the pitch. Don Baylor said, wait for a strike, swing at strikes. Watch where this pitch is. Is that a strike? Down around the lower shin.
That's that good curveball we were talking about in the opening early that Mike Hampton didn't have in Colorado because of the light air and because of the change in the mechanics. He needs 1 more out here to keep a shutout on the board. Ball 1 to Vance Wilson.
I think he's starting to get confidence in that curveball again.
Such a good pitch. It complements his other pitches so well. It gives him 2 pitches to come inside to a right-hander. He has that cut fastball that runs in there, then a big curveball. And most right-handers give up on that curveball. In the air, out around second. Somebody's got to take charge. It is going to be DeRosa again. So once again, Hampton tiptoes through a minefield, keeps the shutout in order as we head to the bottom of the 6th.
These crispy chicken nuggets. It's better here. And Wagner Wide Shot Power Painter. Professional results in 1/3 of the time.
7-0, the Braves lead it. MLB.com is the #1 site for Major League Baseball fans.
Rafael Furcal with the Braves with 9 hits and 7 runs is one who hasn't had a fun night so far. He's flied to center and twice hit the ball off the end of the bat over to first base. Inside for strike 1. Pedro Feliciano, second pitcher of the night. Jay Woon So went 4 innings, gave up 5 of the 7 runs. In the air, right center field, a long run for Duncan. He glides under it. There's out number 1.
Pretty good looking outfielder. We've only had a chance to see him play a couple of games, but he covers a lot of ground out there.
And runs with no effort, just kind of glides. Thought last night watching him that he had a lot of the actions defensively of Steve Finley.
Well, you need a guy like that in Shea Stadium. That's a big center field out there. It's a deeper center field than in most ballparks, 410 feet, a lot of room in left and right center fields as well. So you need somebody that can cover some ground in that ballpark.
Mark DeRosa has scored one of the 7 runs. He walked and scored in the first inning, struck out and flied to center. And has been in the middle of things literally defensively tonight. 1-1.
Marcus Giles coming along fine. Might be in the lineup tomorrow. Might get in tonight as a pinch hitter or something.
Took some swings and some defense today.
Yeah.
Ground ball. 2-1.
Jim Lovell, the assistant trainer, was the first guy out to Marcus when he got run over by Mark Pryor. And he said, I asked him the usual questions and got some goofy answers, but that told me nothing. That's what you got to get from Marcus most of the time anyway.
That's good. To Wigginton. 2 outs.
Come on, Gary.
And that'll bring up Gary Sheffield. He's been the hottest man in the batting order tonight. Sheffield.
Home run number 23 came in the 5th inning as the leadoff man on a 2-1 pitch from Feliciano. First man Feliciano faced. And that ended a lengthy home run drought for Sheffield.
It ended a quite lengthy hitting drought. He was only 1 for his last 14.
First home run since June 27th.
Started tonight's ball game. Now he's 3 for 3 and up to 330. Strike 1 to start him. Sheffield only 1 of 11 in that series against the Cubs to wrap up the first half, and then started last night with an 0 for 3 night. Off the fist. That's headed back our way. And it's 0-2 to Sheffield.
It's a good crowd tonight, close to a sellout. If not sold out completely. Might be.
Kind of a late arriving crowd, but...
because it's Friday afternoon in Atlanta.
That's always an adventure.
Try driving anytime after 3 o'clock toward downtown, or out of downtown.
0-2, and another thing, too, tonight the Braves having one of their promotions that getting close to the school year is very popular. Braves Kids Sports Bag Night. First 12,000 kids are going to take home one of the sports bag. I kind of like those. Still 0-2 to Sheffield. Up and away, 1-2. There it is. That's a nice little promotional item. Into left center field. Sheffield's going to have a 4 for 4 night. And it's only the 6th inning. He could have a 5 for 5 night. 3 singles and a home run.
And he's gotten 2 of those hits on swings that weren't really his best shot, that being one of them. I mean, he hit that ball pretty well, but that one and the one back in the 3rd inning when he hit that little flare in the right field, just everything's falling for him tonight. That one kind of off the end of the bat.
A 2-out single, and here's Chipper Jones. He's been on 3 times, too. One of them, though, a gift. An error by second baseman Ray Sanchez. He's 2 out of 3. And trying to sneak his way back up to 300. He's at the 290 mark. Good changeup to get strike 1. Chipper Jones looked as relaxed as I have ever seen him yesterday.
I think the 3 days off during the All-Star break did him good.
Yeah, and I think he was ready for that. Obviously, everybody wants to make the All-Star team, and he would have loved to have made it, but I think he really utilized those 3 days to rest up.
No, he was having trouble with that wrist, and so he took some treatment just before the All-Star break for that, and really gave it a chance to work, the treatment to work, instead of having to come right back out there and try to play the next day.
Off the end of the bat, off the right hand of Vance Wilson. 1-2.
I also think he's a little steamed that he didn't make the All-Star team. And that can be an incentive.
Yes, it can.
Get a guy going a little better in the second half.
Oh, most definitely.
He's in a bigger talent pool now, being in the outfield than he was at third base.
Upstairs 2-2, and they only pay 3 places in the outfield for the starting lineup. A lot of guys this year victimized, if you want to use that term, by having to have every ball club represented, and that'll be bounced.
That always happens and always will, as long as they have that rule.
And that'll be debated ad nauseum. And Chipper Jones is out of there. So for one of the few innings tonight, the Atlanta Braves will come away empty and through 6, 4-7 to nothing lead.
Coming to TNT.
Attention on deck.
To the 7th, 7-0 Atlanta Braves. And Pete, one swing may have undone all that treatment and all that work. Chipper Jones, as he struck out, watch how quickly he rids himself of the bat and
it's
grabs.
that same thing. It's the left wrist again. He originally hurt that wrist against the Mets back on May 31st when he was sliding into second base in New York. Well, he's come out of the game. Darren Bragg takes over in left field. Julio Franco at first base. That might have been the plan anyway with a 7-0 lead. And we'll wait for any further word on Chipper. It'll probably just be a day-to-day thing as it was before. A base hit and a ground out for Ray Sanchez. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Probably be a day-to-day thing and a wish to see no left-handers.
Yeah. Five hits allowed by Hampton. Two and 1. Raul Gonzalez is on deck. DeRosa. 1 gone. And now Raul Gonzalez will pinch hit for Feliciano. Gonzalez hitting .262 with a couple of home runs. He's 3 out of 13 as a pinch hitter.
"19 outs by Hampton and only 3 recorded in the outfield." This is the Hampton that was a 20-game winner, a 15-game winner.
Ball 1 to Gonzalez. He's another one that's been back and forth this year a couple of times between AAA and the Mets major league roster. In the air to right field, shallow. Sheffield's there for that one. 2 gone.
Hey, Pete, we want to invite our fans to not miss the drama of golf's most prestigious major. It's on TNT. It's a live coverage of the British Open Championship. Continues tomorrow at 7 a.m. Eastern, 4 a.m. Pacific. And I like our promo there because to our folks across the Atlantic, it is the Open.
Davis Love, the only man under par after today's round, I believe.
Red-hot Kenny Perry nipping at his heels, and another nice recovery day for Tiger Woods today.
1-0 pitch to Reyes is outside. Reyes is struck out and into a force play, popped out to second. Good one.
Is there a sporting event that you haven't attended or seen that you would like to?
Oh, a bunch of them. They all happen during the baseball season.
It's the same here. I would love to go.
Kentucky Derby, Indianapolis 500, U.S. Open golf tournament, Masters.
See, I'd love to go to the Ryder Cup and the British Open. I've had the good fortune of going to the Masters. But the British Open would be so special. And the Ryder Cup, I think it would be awfully hard not to get very emotional at that.
2-2 pitch to Reyes on the way. Two outs and the base is empty here in the top half of the 7th inning. Atlanta 7-0. They go for their 63rd win of the year, trying to go 11-1 over their last 12 games. Mets are going in just the opposite direction. They're only 1-7 in their last 8 games. Toward short, take off for Percal. 1-2-3, go the Mets.
When Mickey comes to town, it's going to be a wicked good time.
Never doubt my skills.
Oh, boy. Adam Sandler, Reese Witherspoon, Little Nicky, July 27th, only on TBS Superstation.
Best way to clean teeth? The dentist. What do thousands use? Same thing Arm & Hammer Complete Care does. Dental baking soda. Deep clean stains regular toothpaste can't reach. Cleans, whitens, freshens. Try new Complete Care. Your whole mouth will feel fresh from the dentist clean.
In the old days, athlete's foot meant using Lotrimin AF or Tenactin for 4 whole weeks.
Who does that? Today, Lamisil AT kills the fungus with just 1 week's use.
And keeps you athlete's foot free for 3 months.
Lamisil AT. There's no better way to cure athlete's foot.
In the mood for a little excitement?
Aaron Andrews at TBS Sports Control, presented by MasterCard. Let's go out to the vet for some D. Bottom of the 7th, Tomas Perez. Singles to left. Check out Brad Wilkerson. He gets rid of it quickly and guns down Mike Lieberthal at the plate. Wilkerson's 9th assist. Javier Vasquez trying for his first win since June 10th. Let's send it back out to Turner Field, guys.
And as we go to the bottom half of the 7th inning, that could be another full game picked up by Atlanta. They could be 9.5 up if that Montreal-Philadelphia score holds, and if this one holds here. Got some changes for the Mets. Jason Phillips now behind the plate. Tony Clark now at first base, and Edwin Almonte, the new pitcher. He's just back up from AAA. They got him in the Roberto Alomar deal. He's one of the players that came over from the White Sox. Braves saw him in a game up in New York, and then he went back to Norfolk. They just called him back up today. One ball, one strike.
Short stay at the big league level for Prentice Redmond, wasn't it?
1 day.
His spot was taken by Edwin Almonte.
1-2 now on Andrew Jones.
You know, that had to be sad for a lot of people because Redmond is from Alabama, and don't you know he had to have a bunch of people over for the weekend. That's too bad.
2-2. In all of these Mets trades, the one involving Alomar, the one involving Burnitz. First the pitch, a ground ball foul, and in the one involving Benitez, they made the trade for minor league prospects. Almonte, coming over from the White Sox, been in the White Sox organization since '98 when he was a 26th round draft pick. He's a New York native. And there's a base hit for Andrew Jones, his second hit. And a good start to the bottom half of the 7th inning for Atlanta. That'll bring up Robert Fick's out of the game. It'll bring up Julio Franco, who replaced Robert Fick. Julio is having a good year. 310, a couple of home runs, 19 RBIs. You didn't get a call by any chance from Jeremy Burnitz, did you, Don?
No, I didn't. Was I supposed to?
Well, you know, he's always worn number 20, and he's
back with L.A.?
Back with the Dodgers now, and I don't think he's going to be able to get that number over there, and I wondered if any negotiating was going on.
I remember I had to buy it 3 times.
0-1 the count on Julio Franco.
But then, you know, back then you could buy it for a little portable CD. No, they didn't have CD. Little portable cassette player.
They didn't have cassettes then either.
Oh, yeah, they had cassettes, smart Alex.
78. It was 78.
Okay, so I traded an 8-track for it, all right?
Into right field, base hit for Franco. Andrew Jones will wind up at third. And the Braves trying to pad their lead here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. And here's the man that's been swinging the big RBI bat tonight for Atlanta, Javi Lopez. He's 2 out of 3, a pair of singles and a force play hit into, but an RBI in each one of his 3 plate appearances, and 4 altogether on the night.
And we decided it was the 5th time you posed the question. In the other 4, how much role did home runs play in it? Well, he had 6 total home runs. He had 2 of those games where he had multi-homers, and 2 games when he had 1 homer. So they answered your question in every one of them.
Good play by Reyes. Almost didn't get it to Sanchez. He tried to flip it with his glove, and it got a little hung up in the webbing. But it's another RBI for Javi Lopez. That's a 5 RBI night for Lopez, and it gives him 57 on the year, and it's 8-0.
Big glove, caught in the web, didn't have time to go to with his hand, and that throw almost came up short. Good
and
range.
now Vinny Castilla.
Good range shown by the shortstop.
Well, that was the story we heard all spring training long about Reyes. And he could really play the position. And he's right in the middle of that 4-6-3 double play.
Bullseye!
Jim Carrey, Matthew Broderick.
I'm here for you. Don't do that. You're going to get me killed.
Oh, Billy. Ah! The Cable Guy, 8 Eastern, Sunday on TBS Superstation.
Our score is 7-0 Braves. It's a good time for us to get to our Holiday Inn Express in the booth question. And our question tonight is, why doesn't a catcher get charged with an error on a pass ball? James Reek from Lancaster, Wisconsin. James, as I understand it, an error is charged on a ball that is put in play off the bat. Catcher gets a pass ball on a thrown ball. That is a form of an error, but that's just like the pitcher getting a wild pitch on one that he throws away. So errors are charged after a ball is put into play, and the sin committed on a pitch ball is a pass ball or a wild pitch. That's the best explanation I can give you, and we thank James Reek from Lancaster, Wisconsin, for being a part of our Holiday Express in the booth question.
Ray King, the new pitcher. There's the first half, or the first portion of the season prior to the All-Star break for Ray. Got into 50 games and pitched very well. His goal is to pitch in 90 games, and he's on a pace to do that. Mike Hampton, speaking of pitching well, 7 scoreless innings tonight, 5 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. That's back-to-back good starts for Atlanta now for Greg Maddux and Mike Hampton, and that's something they were hoping would happen in this second portion of the season, to get those 2 top of the rotation guys pitching the way they have these last 2 nights. Jeff Duncan facing Ray King, takes a strike.
Did you notice Ray King prior to pitching out behind the mound doing stretching that we haven't seen him do before? I know the heat, it's hot enough for you to get loose, but wonder if he might be finding something not just to his liking.
0-2. Huge crowd tonight, 44,815 here at Turner Field. 2 more games in this series, tomorrow afternoon, Sunday afternoon. Ortiz against Glavine tomorrow, Ramirez against Leiter on Sunday. Duncan rolls one out toward DeRosa. 1 out. Now Jason Phillips, who's 1 for 3.
Pete, an anniversary of sorts for Terry Pendleton. 19 years ago tonight, Terry Pendleton got introduced to the big leagues. Or the big leagues got introduced to Terry Pendleton, made his debut with St. Louis against the Giants. Cardinals won at 8-4. How'd Terry Pendleton do? Welcome to the big leagues, Terry. 3 for 5, an RBI, a walk, and a run scored. 19 years ago tonight.
I bet you he can remember every one of those 5 at-bats. Most players can when they make that major league debut. Most players don't get 5.
That's true.
Oh, 1-1 on Jason Phillips. 8 runs, 12 hits for Atlanta. No runs, 5 hits, and 4 errors tonight for the Mets. Did he go or not? Nope.
Whoa, very liberal at first tonight by Mike Everett. That's a couple. Remember one by Gary Sheffield. That may have been a little bit closer to not crossing the plate. That's got to be the toughest call in umpiring, I think.
Get one look at it.
That's all. No replays, and you have about 20th of a second to decide.
3-1 now on Jason Phillips.
Can't be socializing with the fans in the front row, can you?
3-2 now.
I think the masked marvel is carrying on a conversation with himself.
He appears to be. I'll tell you what, if things don't get much better for the New York Mets this season, there may be quite a few of these guys talking to themselves by September.
I'd like to have Jason Phillips on our inside track at that, I think.
Yeah, you get the feeling he's a character. You could read his lips there, something about stupid. He's still upset with the pitch before the one that he walked on. It was the one that he swung at and hit a little foul ball off the end of the bat.
Tell you one thing, if I'm a part of the team, I gotta like his competitive drive.
Absolutely. Cliff Floyd 0 for 3 tonight, a couple of errors. He has not had a good night. They weren't even sure if he was going to be able to play after the All-Star break because of all the injuries he has. He's got a bad Achilles. He's got a bad wrist. But he came out of the All-Star break feeling pretty good. He must wonder why this keeps happening to him. He was on the Montreal Expos in 1994 when the strike came. His team was 6 games up front. And then the strike came along. They never got to finish that year, and then Montreal began to get rid of payroll. Little pop foul, third base side. Castilla coming hard, but won't get there. Then he went to the Florida Marlins, and he was hurt for most of the 1997 season. Just kind of a pinch hitter, part-time player in the World Series. They won the World Series, and then they got rid of almost everybody on that team except Cliff Floyd, and he wound up with another team dumping payroll for a couple of years.
And rebuilding.
And now here he is at the New York Mets, trying to get a fresh start in his career. And what are they doing? Halfway through his first season with New York, dumping payroll. It's happened to him 3 times. The Expos, the Marlins, and now the Mets.
Yeah, he had to be thinking, well, I'm going to be hitting either just in front of, in the middle of, or right behind Movon and Mike Piazza. Yeah. That's a happy place to be when they're both well in delivery.
0-2 the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes. They're not holding Phillips at first with big lead and 1 out here in the 8th inning. There's a ground ball to the right side. That'll get through for a base hit. Phillips going to try for third, and he'll make it. And that'll bring up Ty Wigginton, who has 2 of the 6 hits for New York tonight, both singles. Wigginton leads the Mets, having grounded into 9 double plays.
I think they're going to have a pinch runner come out, maybe for Cliff Floyd.
I told you about that bad Achilles. Looks like Timo Perez. That's who it is. Timo Perez running for Floyd. And he's being held together this year at baling wire. We've seen some replays of some of his plays in left field this year where he's had to go back toward the wall and make a little bit of a leap, any kind of a leap at all in left field when he has to come back and land on that heel.
That kind of shows you what they think of his efforts, doesn't it?
Yeah. Up the middle, base hit. That'll get a run in, and the Mets are on the board. It's 8-1 on the Ty Wigginton single, his third hit of the night, and his 43rd RBI of the year.
See what he starts him with. Looked like a fastball out away from him. It was right where he could get extended on it by Ray King before he could react. King hasn't thrown that good slider, so you really have to wonder if maybe he's got a little kink somewhere that he can't work loose tonight. Because in most of his outings on that road trip, he had a double biting slider working.
Roger Cedeno's 0 for 3. Fastball strike. That's a final now in Philadelphia. Montreal a winner 3-1 over the Phillies. So if the Braves hold on here, the lead will be up to 9.5 games in the National League East. Oh, 2 on Cedeno.
Let's see, 9.5 with, what, 67 left to play? That'll make Bobby Cox comfortable, right? Don't dare mention it to him.
Well, you can mention it to him, but I can tell you what's going to happen when you do. Bobby Cox will be happy when he has a 10-game lead and there are 9 games left to play, and not until then. He could be 20 games up right now and he wouldn't be pleased. Well, he would be pleased, but he wouldn't be.
He wouldn't have it in the bank
No,
yet.
he wouldn't have it salted away yet. One ball, 2 strikes on Cedeno. Another base hit to center. See if they wave Perez. They will. There won't be a throw. It's 8-2. And Ray King getting cuffed around a little bit here in the 8th inning.
All fastballs.
20th RBI of the season for Cedeno. And now Tony Clark.
Check out the location of this pitch. He wants to get it in, but it's almost in the same spot as the one hit by Wigginton, just above the knees and in the middle of the strike zone. And he hit it almost in the same spot.
Tony Clark's a part-time player, used primarily to pinch hit and double switches and things like that. And he's second on the team in homers now among the players who are still here. After the trade of Burnitz. He has 10 home runs. Only Cliff Floyd with 15 has more.
Well, I think a guy like him is a good guy to have on your bench. Because it doesn't matter who you bring in. Switch hitter.
Look out.
Look out, Ray Sanchez.
Almost got Sanchez, and it almost got those folks in the front row. That hit that padded facade right in front of that box seat and hit it hard. You could hear the thump all the way up here. Listen to this. One ball, 1 strike. We couldn't get the sound up for that, but we could hear it. Castilla had it trickle off his glove and pass for call. That'll get Ty Wigginton in. Around to third goes Cedeno. And the Mets keep chipping away at Ray King here in the 8th inning as they attempt to get back in this one. That's 3 runs that have scored here in the 8th. It's 8-3. They're one long one away from being right back in it.
And 5 in a row have reached on him, and we have not. I'm not trying to pound this point into the ground, but we have yet to see a good slider from Ray King. Close to being caught by Vinny Castilla. When he didn't get it, there was absolutely no chance. Bobby Cox coming out. Let's see if he heads to home plate. If he does, that means he has a double switch coming up.
And that will be the case. So Ray King's first time out after the All-Star break, not a very successful one, as he gives up 4 straight hits after a walk. 3 runs thus far. 2 other runners on base belong to him. And Bobby Cox will bring on pitcher number 3 of the night.
Rodriguez out of the park. O's go on to beat the Angels 6-5. Send it back out to turn field, guys.
And that Anaheim club trying to climb back in that race out in the American League West. You can't afford to lose too many games in a row with Seattle and Oakland ahead of you.
No, they put together a terrific second half last year. That's how they won it. But it's harder to come by this year.
Apparently not a double switch by Bobby Cox. He was just saving Jim Wolf the walk out to the mound and told him that Kevin Grabowski would be the new pitcher. The numbers on Grabowski over the first portion of the season, a lot of work, 44 games and a 5-3 record.
Nobody on the ball club has inherited more runners than Kevin Grabowski. 45, add 2 more to it now. He's only allowed 9 to score. That's 20%. But Pete, first batters are hitting 350 off of him.
Ray Sanchez, the hitter, he's 1 for 3.
How do you do that and still not allow runs scored?
And he's gotten a lot of double plays on first hitters, too.
He has.
So it's either feast or famine for those first hitters against Grabowski. First and third here with Sanchez hitting and fouling one away. Bouncer toward first. Franco will take the shore out. Another run scores. There might have been a play at the plate, but you can't be risking things this late in the game with a big lead. It's now 8-4. And Joe McEwing will pinch hit. McEwing just 220 this year with no homers, 8 RBIs. He's 2 out of 9 as a pinch hitter.
It's already been a busy year for him, Pete. He's one of only 6 players in baseball that have played 6 or more positions. The only 2 positions he hasn't played regular positions for the Mets this year, center field and catch. Everywhere else, he's been there some.
And he's played center before in his career, so he could play out there if he had to. Burkall comes the throw over to first in plenty of time. And Grabowski makes quick work of the 8 and 9 spots in the Mets batting order. It's 8-4 now. Atlanta leading the New York Mets, and a good sight for Atlanta fans. Marcus Giles getting back into action, being called on to pinch hit here for Kevin Grabowski. His first action since that frightening collision with Mark Pryor up at Wrigley Field last week. Marcus 291 with 8 homers, 37 RBIs. He did stay in Chicago for all the All-Star festivities, was introduced prior to the All-Star game, but did not play.
And got a standing ovation when he was announced here a few seconds ago.
Graeme Lloyd's the new pitcher for the Mets. And there's a line drive left center field. That's Timo Perez in left now.
Pete, let's take a look at some of our Office Depot scores. You can check it out on our Office Depot scoreboard as it strolls by there. Hidalgo with a couple of homers for Houston. Cubs losing to Florida. A lot of action going on out west a little bit later on, but please check them out. You got a good pitching duel in Tampa Bay. And keep cool as the season heats up. Sport your summer threads and get your MLB Authentic Collection. Player quality caps, jerseys, t-shirts, and more at MLB.com. The MLB.com shop for all things baseball.
0-1 on Rafael Burkall. Burkall 3 for 4 last night, but 0 for 4 tonight. One ball on strike. Lloyd in his 32nd game, 1-2 with a 281 earned run average. Jim Duquette, the interim GM of the Mets, quoted after making the Benitez trade as saying it's going to take some kind of an eye-popping offer to have any more deals done for any of the Mets veterans. But I would think that's right through the legs of Reyes, and that's error number 5 of the night for the New York Mets. Yikes. I would think a player like Graham Lloyd would be one that teams looking for bullpen help might be interested in.
Oh, yeah, he does a good job against left-handers. Should have his second out here off of a right-hander, but for calls, skids right through the legs of the shortstop Reyes. Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you. He also had an interesting point, Pete, talking about the fan reactions to trading players. Get to that right after DeRosa. He said, I think our fans are smart enough to understand where we are. I think they realize that as well as we do with the mix we have, as well as we tried to do with the mix we have, it didn't work out. We're out of the wild card. As many games we were below 500. I don't think we should pretend to kid ourselves and say we have a legitimate chance.
Well,
he's saying let's move on.
Yeah, he's speaking the truth. I don't know as though he's right about the Mets fans will understand.
Well, that's true.
You know, they're not very patient there.
What was the line we heard out of the paper in New York? In New York, you never rebuild.
Well, he's not rebuilding. He said he's renovating.
Renovating. I forgot you
pointed
that out.
Yeah, the war chant of the Mets, if you want to call it that, is "Let's go Mets." That's the chant you hear when you go to Shea Stadium and the Mets are playing well. Already this year, we've heard "Let's go home" by those same fans who were disappointed in the performance of the Mets. And what makes it, I think, so disappointing is the hopes were built up so high during the offseason when they went out and signed Tom Glavine, when they went out and got Cliff Floyd, when they went out and got Mike Stanton, when they went out and brought Art Howe over to manage. And it just hasn't worked. Nothing's worked. Everything is pretty much backfired on them. That's a base hit for DeRosa. And Rafael Furcal will stop at second base. But I think that they're doing the right thing. They weren't going to go anywhere the way things were going for them before. Now they're going to be able to take a good long look at some youngsters, not just stick them out there for a week to fill in for an injured player and then send them back out again. They're going to be able to stick them out there and keep them out there for a couple of months. I don't see if Sheffield can duplicate that 5-hit performance from 1995. He's done it a couple of times in the major leagues, but 8 years since the last one. Tonight, 3 singles and a home run. And the batting average, which was .324 at the start of the night, up to .332 now.
You know, Pete, you made a statement you didn't think the Mets fans would understand, but I think for the most part, Mets fans are like Red Sox fans, Cubs fans. They're pretty knowledgeable.
Oh, they're knowledgeable, no question about that.
I think they would understand less if you tried to con them with all that's taking place and say, oh yeah, we can still make a run. I think you would tick them off more if you tried to pull the wool over their eyes with that. 5-hit day has been matched by Gary Sheffield. Two home runs, 3 singles, 4 RBIs, 24 homers and 74 RBIs on the year now for Sheffield. And this is now a rout. It's 11-4. And the 5 errors, 4 of the players involved in hitting the balls that were errors have scored.
Darren Bragg launches one into right center field. Duncan gets there for the catch. Everybody's kind of swinging from their heels now, and that's what hitters do when they have a lopsided game like this. 2 men out in the 8th. Andrew Jones is 2 out of 4.
And further indication of how things are going, Pete. The throw back in from the outfield, mishandled in the infield, skipped out into left field.
Andrew tonight, a pair of singles. He scored twice. He's driven in one. Well, the offense has been there again tonight for Atlanta. See, the Braves scored 50 runs on that road trip just before the All-Star break. Now they've scored 14 in their first 2 games back. 64 runs in the last 9 games. That's 7 runs a night.
Got to make you want to stay healthy as a starting pitcher for the Braves.
Absolutely.
My turn tomorrow.
One ball, 2 strikes. Shane Reynolds talking with Greg Maddux there. Shane will pitch on Monday. That'll be against the Cubs. Deep center field. Duncan going back for this one on the warning track and makes the catch with his back leaning on the wall. And that's out number 3, but a 3-run homer by Gary Sheffield makes it 11-4.
Add to that by Mike Hampton. You're in good hands with Mike Hampton and Robert Fick. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Going to the 9th inning, and Roberto Hernandez will come on to pitch for Atlanta. Grabowski got the final 2 outs in the 8th. All 4 of the runs scored by the Mets charged tonight to Ray King. And there are the numbers on Hernandez. Jose Reyes is 0 for 4. One thing you've got to be with the young players, if that's what you're going to do the rest of the year, got to be patient. Because they're going to have bad nights. Reyes has not had a particularly good night tonight. 0 for 4 at the plate. He's made an error.
Well, there's the man who is the epitome of patience. That's been his reputation as a player and as a manager and as a coach.
Don't you wonder, though, as you look at Art Howe with the Mets, and as you look at Lou Piniella down with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, that sometimes in their quiet moments,
they're screaming inside.
They're wondering, did I really do the right thing leaving Oakland? Did I really do the right thing leaving Seattle? Those two teams battling it out again for the AL West title. 58 wins for Seattle, 54 for Oakland. Tampa Bay's won 32 games, and the Mets have won 40. And it's not going to get much better for either one of them this year.
Remember that line in that late 50s, early 60s song, Please, Mr. Custer? Please, Mr. Custer? He kept saying, what am I doing here? You got to think that. But, you know, both of them have the reputation. Lou Piniella went to Seattle.
Yes.
And took on a burden there and turned it around. Art Howe did not quite as drastic a job as Oakland. But don't you think if you're going through a time like this, I would rather have a very quiet, easygoing guy like Art Howe than some volatile person there. If things go wrong and you got a guy who flies off the handle, you could destroy a young player.
Yes, you could. Well, he'll be good for that. He'll be good for the young players who they're trying to find out about for the Mets this year. He's a good teacher. He's an interesting guy. You know the story of Art Howe, how he got into professional baseball? He was working at IBM, I think, where it was.
Oh, he had a degree. He's very intelligent.
And he was playing semi-pro baseball, and he went to a tryout camp. He didn't sign his first professional baseball contract until he was 24 years old. And he went to Class A ball at age 24, made it to the major leagues 4 years later, and here he is managing. How many stories like that do you hear? A guy signing his first contract at age 24, that's unheard of. It was in a Pittsburgh organization.
I know his wife Betty, and I could just see Art coming home and saying, telling her what, and she said, you gonna do what?
Well, it's worked out very well for him, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. A couple of classy people and a terrific family are the Howes.
3-2 on Jeff Duncan, one of the youngsters, 0 for 3 tonight with a walk. in the 9th inning. 1 out. $44,000 plus here tonight. A lot of them with the lopsided nature of this game are headed for the highways. Aaron Bragg, a long run, can't quite get there.
I'll tell you one guy I'll bet you is making a very favorable impression to Art Howe and his crew with his style of play, disregard to where they are in the standings and the score, has to be Jeff Duncan.
Well, he's off to a good start. He's 7 for 20. He already has a home run. He hit a triple last night off Greg Maddux.
He's played well defensively. He's
played well defensively.
Everything.
He can run. He's got good speed. In fact, he and Reyes at the top of the order give the Mets their first real bit of speed at the top of the order that they've had in a couple of years there. But they've got to prove that they're ready to stay up at the major league level as a hitter. Got to get on base before that speed does you much good. And so far, so good for Duncan. And the guy on deck does not possess good speed, but he's a good hitter. That's Jason Phillips. Well, there's a 1-out walk.
And a good at bat.
Jason Phillips, you saw him going from first to third on a base hit back in the 8th inning. Takes him a while to do that. He's got a pretty good sense of humor, though, about his speed.
Hey, I'm a first to third guy. I always ran the turn in track. On the track team, I always ran the turn. I'm good leaning that way.
I mean, when the track team went in, when the track team
the turn and ran the curve. That's me.
That's pretty good. I think he's going to be around a while, too. I think he's going to become a very popular player in New York. Tonight, he's 1 out of 3 with a run scored and a base hit.
We want to thank Don Baylor for wearing our mic and giving us the inside track. He and the players and coaches over there gave us some good stuff tonight. We appreciate it.
1 out, runner at first, 9th inning. Roberto Hernandez. I know it's an 11-4 game, and I know it's 2 outs away from being complete, but I can tell you right now that what's bugging Bobby Cox and Leo Mazzoni is that walk to Jeff Duncan by Roberto Hernandez. It was a good at-bat by Duncan, but the one thing that the Braves manager and pitching coach have been looking for from Roberto Hernandez is better control. His control's been very erratic so far this year. 29 walks now and 31 strikeouts. This is his 41st inning. They've gotten good outings from Maddux, a good outing tonight from Hampton. This might be the end of the ball game right here. Whoops, they had a mix-up on who was covering. Doesn't matter. That was Jason Phillips running, and that'll do it. The Atlanta Braves are 11-4 winners over the New York Mets. Braves have now won 11 of their last 12 games, and they've opened up a 9.5 game lead in the National League East. Third 5-hit performance of his career. Congratulations, Gary, on a great night. I know you were looking for a big breakout night like this.
Yeah, I knew it was coming eventually. You know, the thing is that you just have to be patient, and this game can humble you sometimes no matter how good you're doing. And I just came in, and, you know, the last few days, and me and TP's been talking about, you know, they've been pitching me down in the way, trying to get me to roll over the ball and hit in the double play. So told me to go back to being the hitter that I am, use the whole field, and I just started going to right. And when you go to right field, they have to come in sometimes.
And they did tonight, just enough for you to get 2 that you like. But you really had 2 separate ball games, didn't you, with the singles and then a different swing for the homers?
Absolutely. You know, the thing is when guys get on base, you're more aggressive, and you know, you don't try to do too much. You just try to get them in. You know, don't think about getting all 3 of them in or all 4 of us in. Just try to get one at a time, and they come in bunches sometimes.
You had a very satisfied look on your face after that little single to right field to lead off the 3rd inning.
Well, I mean, I haven't hit a ball to right field in a while, and it's been kind of frustrating because I know I can go that way. And, you know, Pat always tell me, you know, he'd say, Gary, you know, we know you can go to right field. Just go take what they give you until you start swinging the bat like you're capable of swinging it, and it paid off today.
Gary, we're showing what we call your super card here. It's what you did all night long. 4 runs scored, a bunch of RBIs. Pretty impressive. Now, when you look at your numbers, you've got a good batting average. The home runs are climbing. You got the RBIs. Out of those, which is the most gratifying?
Well, just RBIs. You know, picking those guys up with 2 outs. That's the gratifying part to me. You know, if I can get dry guys in when they get out there, you know, we're going to win a lot of ball games because we got 2 guys in front of me that's been tremendous all year.
Gary, you went to the All-Star game with 6 of your teammates, and almost to a man, all 6 of you had the same comment about the success of the Braves in the first half of the season. Yeah. Best record in Major League Baseball, yet almost each one of you said the same thing. We haven't played our best baseball yet. Now, back-to-back games from Greg Maddux and Mike Hampton.
Well, I mean, I said it all along. You know, I put total trust in Maddux and Hampton, and those guys have track records that you can't overlook. And anytime you ask those guys to go out there and win a ball game for you, you can see it in their eyes, and they're going to go do it. And you've seen today. Both of them pitched great games back-to-back, and hopefully we can have a better second half.
2 home runs tonight. You won the home run derby tonight.
I finally won something.
Nice night, Gary.
Might not be the last thing you win this year either.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Gary Sheffield. A 5-for-5 night, and we'll be back.
Whole